Welcome to Biz1on1.
Our next guest, Kirk Shaw of Wonderfilm Media, has produced over 230 movies. This incredible tally makes Kirk North America's second most prolific producer in history. To him, it's all about finding innovative ways to solve financing problems. He's here today to talk about the industry and how it's being forced to change, and how he and Wonderfilm lead that transformation. Welcome to the show, Kirk.
Hey, welcome to be here, Randy.
I hate to ask who's number one, if you're number two.
Roger Corman.
Wow, wow.
He's 93 years old.
Oh, so, and you're well under that age.
So I've got a long ways to catch up, but yes.
So what a story, 230 films, you're a Canadian.
Yes.
Tell us, how did this all come about?
I think it was by accident. I wanted to be a writer, and I got interested in producing audio tours in museums and art galleries. And I produced them like old radio plays, because I used to go to listen to radio plays when I went to sleep young. I just went to a museum, let's say Royal BC Museum. It would have 1 million visitors a year. But when you go to the Royal BC Museum, you haven't really studied BC history.
When you say BC, we're talking about British Columbia.
Yeah. So I'm just using that as an example. So I thought I could create an audio tour of the museum. And at the time, we were doing them with Sony Walkmans, if you remember what a Sony Walkman is.
Absolutely. So we had a yellow one.
Yeah. So we had to figure out how to charge the batteries, how to rewind them. And I actually went to the museum and said, I'll provide the staff to rent, and I'll produce the audio tour for free. I'll provide the staff at the museum to rent them, and we'll just revenue share. And if you have 1 million people visiting the museum, and I can get 10% or 100,000 to pay $3, then I thought we had a business.
Wow, what year was that?
That would have been in the year 2000.
Wow.
And so I did 19 of those type of tours. Also the Royal Tyrrell Museum in Alberta. We did something for the Smithsonian Museum. And it was like a really fun time.
So you'd put the cassette in, walk around the museum with your Walkman, and it's a guided tour.
Yeah, it was like a walking meditation, because there was, we'd have a story arc, we'd have actors, we had original music, sound effects.
Oh, wow.
So you were actually taken into the world of what the environment is in the museum you're walking into.
So what were you doing before that? Like, so nothing to do with the film or industry? No,
I initially wanted to be a writer. I pursued writing and have a diploma in journalism, but I ended up always in the business side of the newspaper industry. And I was one of the group that started the Edmonton Sun newspaper in Edmonton. I was like employee number 4. I always remember getting my paycheck and being proud to be employee number 4.
So you were basically a journalist who got into the business side, yeah. And then you created which is, like you said, it's like a radio play, really. Yeah,
it was an old radio play. There used to be, we used to have Jack Cullen and the Owl Prowl on CKNW. And it was 11:15 every night, and that's what I would go to sleep listening to. The Shadow.
Very cool. So you're a Vancouver boy. So you start producing, and I take it that was very successful.
Yeah, it was. And then one day the Vancouver Museum called me, and they said, does Insight do video? And I was on the phone, and I thought for a second, and I just said, yes. It was just, yes.
Yeah.
And I'll come in next
like
week.
Any good entrepreneur,
yeah.
Right? So do you guys do that? Yeah, I think, we do actually.
Yeah, I could see you doing that for sure. So I said I'd come in the next week, and I went trying to find, I was already writing scripts, working with actors, doing
all
music.
For audio only.
All for audio only. So I just thought it wasn't that much more difficult to add video.
And we're talking, so we're sitting here today in 2018.
Yes.
And you're saying this all started only like 2000, like you've done all these movies, and that's all been since 2000.
Yeah.
Wow. So tell us about the first movie.
The first movie is quite funny because it took me, when I said yes to the Maritime Museum, then I started to do documentaries and a show called Driver's Seat, magazine shows, and I'd walk around Vancouver and you'd see all these big trucks, and I just wondered how to get in there. And then,
And when you're talking about the movie industry,
Yeah, the
already
movie
was, it
industry.
already was Hollywood North by then,
yeah,
right?
it was already Hollywood North, but I'm still walking around the streets thinking it can't be that hard to figure out how to make a movie. And I was doing documentary and magazine shows. And then a friend of mine in Los Angeles asked me to invest with him to buy the assets of a computer game company that was a video computer game company that went under.
Okay.
And so I got a few friends with him, and we bought these assets. And so my first movie was taking one of those games, which was called Maximum Surge, and using half of the footage that they already shot
For the video game.
for the video game, and we wrote a script and backed into the footage. And then we only had to shoot half a movie.
Wow.
And we also shot it on Betacam,
Yeah.
which was, no one was shooting movies at Betacam at the time, just for cost effectiveness, and that was my first movie.
And
And
what happened?
well, I took that to a broadcaster and said, here's my movie. And he said, well, it doesn't fit anything we're programming, but we want disaster movies. So come back to me with some disaster ideas. So we came back to him with a wildfire movie called Wildfire 7. And we also came back to him with a Killer Bee movie. And so
Really?
movies 2 and 3 were Wildfire 7 and Killer Bees.
And off you went.
And off we went.
And that was Insight Entertainment or
Insight Films.
Insight
Yeah.
Films based in Vancouver.
Yeah.
And so how did it go from there to 200 and some movies?
What I realized as a Canadian producer at the time, and I would go to Los Angeles to try to sell my company and myself, I had 33% of the budget, which an American producer doesn't have. And
Because of the exchange on the dollar?
No, because of the tax credits.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I realized I was like the richest person in Los Angeles, the richest film producer in Los Angeles, because no matter what meeting I went into, if I could fit it into the Canadian content system, I had a third of the budget already. And so I just went door to door and picked up 5 films from somebody and picked up a few more and built the company.
We're talking with Kirk Shaw of Wonderfilm Media. And Kirk, we're going to get you to stick around and we'll come back with more of Kirk and we're going to find out about what he's doing now.
Stay tuned for more Biz1on1.
We're back with Kirk Shaw of Wonderfilm Media, who is the second most prolific film producer in history, a Canadian. Kirk?
Yes.
And you were telling us about how it all started, how it all came together by making Sony Walkman audio recordings that are used in museums. That's bizarre that
Yeah.
you end up being a prolific film producer.
Yeah, I'm so jealous today because you could just download onto people's phones, right?
I know, it's crazy. But so tell us about where you're headed now with your new company, Wonderfilm, and how, I mean, I'm quite well aware, being in the business myself, of how things are changing so rapidly. Talk to me about how your company is sort of leading that change.
You know, well, first I'd say like a year ago, I was starting to think that my career as a filmmaker was coming down to an end. And I actually went to my family and I said, look, I don't know how many more years I can produce films because, you know, there's never been more demand for content, but with Netflix in the market, they kind of want to buy everything, they want to own everything, and that's got a big impact, and Amazon's joining them in that process. And then you have the foreign markets are getting more into local language, and my business model is always selling foreign, getting pre-sales, and then going and making my movie. And that market is softening slowly. It's eroding. And so the old way that Hollywood has used since the 1919 of syndicating movies around the globe to help costs, that's eroding. The markets are getting smaller, less buyers are coming, the prices are shrinking, but people still want content. And I just thought I was at pretty much getting to the end. And went to my family. I even got a star on Granville Street at their Walk of Fame, and going, okay, I guess this really is getting close to the end. And then a friend came to me and said, well, he has this public company, he'd like to vend me in, not my company, but me and some of my library into the company, and would I be open to it? And I thought about it. I'd considered it before, and I actually went to a friend in LA and said, well, got this proposal, would you join me? And then he had another friend that we both knew, and we asked him, and so the three of us started, and then we ended up bringing a fourth friend in. So all of a sudden we created this new company called Wonderfilm. It's 4 producers coming together that are facing the same obstacles. And we agreed to do the support to get this company on the Toronto Stock Exchange. But in that process, I got reinvigorated, I got re-excited. And so did the other guys, I think, too. First off, each of us knew something to help each other. So when we were trying to put a film together or a package of films together, we all had brought something new to help each other. Then we'd be sitting down with agents in Los Angeles and having lunch, and this one agent would look across the table and said, well, I used to deal with you and you and you, now I got to deal with all of you. and so we were all of a sudden like a bigger presence, a little more power of us being combined. And then, we got some banking from the UK, we've raised some equity for the fundraising, and it just started to build steam. And part of that steam was also us acknowledging that the system of financing that we've been relying on is slowly eroding. So we've also gave ourselves the challenge of, we got to figure out the new system of financing. So we've started researching lots of interesting different models. We still rely on some of the old system, but we know that we're transitioning to new ideas. And I envisioned 3 to 5 years from now that I, as a producer, could make a film, let's say starring Nicolas Cage, and I'll be able to use, I think, blockchain technology to release my film direct around the globe.
Of course.
And so all the fans that want to see a Nick Cage movie, which are our age and older, I can reach them directly. And maybe or maybe not, there's a cryptocurrency involved in that transaction. But I'll be able to make a film, release it myself, I think in 3 to 5 years.
Blockchain technology for financing films. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, everybody's listened to blockchain in the media, and I think it's here to stay. But basically what it'll allow me as a film producer to do is take my film, encode it into blockchain encoding, so which prevents theft. Anybody that accesses that movie, wants to buy the movie or watch the movie, they have to pay to get access to it, even in China or India, where there's rampant theft. So I believe I can make my film, encode it into blockchain, make it available on the web, and people will be able to subscribe to it directly from any country in the world.
Before we let you go, you got to tell us 1 or 2 movie making stories. You have a story about Sharon Stone?
Oh, yes. You picked one of my favorites. Sharon Stone was an important actor for me. I did a movie called When a Man Falls in the Forest with a young filmmaker, Ryan Eslinger, who had come out of the Sundance Film Festival labs. And Sharon supported him by lending her name to the film, and we were able to add Timothy Hutton. But what Sharon Stone was for me, it was her agency at the time, an LA agencies, trusting me with one of their top stars.
Yeah, and you're an up-and-coming
producer.
You're like you're the Sony Walkman guy out of Canada.
Yeah, exactly. So we needed to receive her into the city. We needed to treat her properly. We needed to protect her. She needed to have a good time on set, and we achieved all that with her. And but most importantly for me was, at the end of the day, we'd finished shooting. It's a 12-hour day, and we were shooting in Maple Ridge, and it's about an hour drive back to the Sutton Hotel where she was staying. And I was going back with some other producers. She was just coming back with her entourage. And we just coincidentally arrive at the Sutton at the same time, and my friends get out of the car, and she pulls in behind. And she got out, and she walked over to me, and she kissed me on the cheek.
Wow.
There was no word. We didn't say anything. We just had a little hug, a little kiss. She went into the hotel, and I went home, and there was no way I was going to wash my face. I crawled into bed beside my wife, and I was like, I don't want to touch her. I just wanted to enjoy this kiss and the lipstick on my cheek.
What a great story.
Yeah.
Well, I expect that there'll be many more stories like that for Kirk Shaw as you move forward with your new company, Wonderfilm, and it's on the Canadian Stock Exchange.
Toronto Stock Exchange.
Toronto Stock Exchange. TSX Venture.
That's correct.
What's the listing?
WNDR.
Okay, we'll keep an eye on that. WNDR, Kirk Shaw, Wonderfilm Media. Thanks for being on Biz1on1.
Okay, thank you, Randy.
You're watching Biz1on1 with Randy Lennon.
Many homes are in need of repair, but as we all know, renos and maintenance can be quite expensive. Eamonn Glavey of the Canadian Home Improvement Credit Corporation works to turn huge expenses into manageable monthly installments. And they do it by working through contractors. It's a fascinating business, Eamonn. Welcome to Biz1on1.
Thanks, Randy.
And tell me about this concept.
So there was a real need in the marketplace. Probably the best way to describe it is to take you through an example of
Sure.
what we do, and then you'll see how and where we fit into the marketplace. So you have a house. Okay. Your roof starts leaking.
Yep.
You call up the local contractor. We'll call him Joe. Joe comes over and he says, Randy, your roof is done. It's a $20,000 replacement. You may not have the $20,000 cash in the bank, or you may not have it on your credit card either. That's where we fall in. So Joe would say, Randy, don't worry, you don't have to go through either of those options. You can go to Chic, and we'll find out right now if we can get you approved for this.
The contractor.
The contractor, exactly. So the contractor on the spot would fill out an application, send it to us. We would adjudicate it on the spot. It takes us about 2.5 minutes to adjudicate an application. We send that notification back to the contractor, and he'll notify you right on the spot. I'll say,
Wow.
Randy, great, you've been approved, and you can commence work whenever you want. We pay once the job's complete and you know, you're satisfied and all the paperwork's in order, everything's really good, we're satisfied to book the deal. We'll then pay Joe's invoice of $20,000 and finance it to you directly after. So you have your repair, you're okay, and it's a manageable monthly payment instead of even $20,000 at once.
So that's, you know, you're basically, it's a banking type function. Do you have a banking background? Do you have a finance background?
Yeah, so I was schooled in capital markets, and I was actually going to go on Bay Street and trade.
Bay Street being the Wall Street
Wall
of
Street
Canada.
of Canada, exactly, yeah. So, but I ended up to go to into this instead.
And so you started the company yourself?
Yeah.
And that's always fascinating to me. So were you a guy that needed his roof fixed, or like how did, how did that
So
come about?
there's more to the story. I've been in business before. I actually started a water heater rental portfolio in 2009.
A water heater rental portfolio.
So
okay.
it's specific to the Ontario market.
Okay.
And what it is, you rent your water heaters in Ontario. It's just the way it is.
So no one owns a water heater in their house?
I think about 4% of the population in Ontario owns their water heater.
Wow.
Yeah. The utilities kind of started this and made it standard. And then obviously Competition Bureau got involved. There's got to be more players, and then more players came in. And then, yeah, so we started that in 2008. There was two dominant players, much like the, you know, Rogers Bell kind of thing.
Right.
And there's three of us that shot up and kind of competed with them for a little while.
Cool.
And yeah, so we built that up for 3-4 years, and it was going really well. And then I took some time off and focused on my health and did some Ironmans and traveled a bit and had some
Cool.
fun. And then, yeah, I met a really great girl and decided, oh, I better go back to work.
Time to get back to being a responsible citizen.
Let's build, yeah, well, I mean, things cost money. So I went back to work. And at the time when I built the first company, I raised a bit of money internally. And then I was going through different sources to raise, leveraging against bond stocks, so on and so forth, to raise capital to build the water heater rental portfolio.
Okay.
Because if you play that scenario, right, we would put in a water heater today.
Yeah.
The water heater costs $1,000. You got to pay the contractor, you got to pay the sales guy, you pay admin, all this stuff. We're collecting $25 a month.
So it's a capital intensive business.
Exactly. So I needed capital to grow the company, much like any business. This one's a bit different. It's more of an annuity. So I raised the capital, and one of the particular people I raised the capital from kind of sparked my interest into this vertical. And I always decided, I always knew that if I get back into business, I was going to do this company. We have a really, I mean, what really separates us, there's 3 of us that do that in the country, but what really separates us is myself and my management team we have a lot of industry knowledge. So we came from the contractor side of things.
Right. So your own customer is really the contractor, not the homeowner.
Correct. And we have a deep, profound understanding of our contractors.
So how did you? It's always interesting to me how you get started. So did you? So you had this idea. We want to provide financing for homeowners that are facing the high interest rates because they're subprime. Yeah. For any, so is it for any?
It's not even just subprime. It's anybody and everybody. Majority of our book is prime. We don't actually play in the subprime market. We're not a subprime company.
Really?
We're a prime portfolio. Yeah. So much like the banks.
So, but
if you're not creditworthy.
But is this unsecured? Like, in other words,
we'll adjudicate based on credit originally, and then based on the value of the ticket. And if we do need to take security, we will. Okay. Yeah.
So you make a deal with the contractors. You sign them up and say, "Here, we're going to offer."
Yeah, they apply. They have to go. They have to get vetted, interviewed, background checks, the whole bit. Right. Okay. We're not just handing this program out to anybody, right?
Okay. So in your business right now, you have contractors then across the country,
or yep.
And so those contractors are out there, and they're doing any type of home repair, maintenance, whatever.
Almost any. Almost any. If it's something that's going to be affixed to the property, we'll finance it.
So you're in Canada right now. Any chance of going into other countries?
It comes up.
U.S., for example?
It comes up, yeah. We're a very small market in Canada. We'll see. No immediate plans, but it's never completely off the table.
And there's companies doing this, I take it, already in the U.S.?
There's a handful. There's, I think, 1 or 2 doing it well.
Eamonn Glavey, just to get it straight, the name of the company and your what you call it.
Okay, we go by CHICC.
CHICC.
CHICC. Acronym for Canadian Home Improvement Credit Corporation.
So if someone is so you want to get connected with the contractor. So if someone's a contractor watching this, they just go to your website, or? Yeah,
they can go to the website, apply, or reach out. We would get in contact with them. We would vet them. Check the reviews, any bad press, all that kind of stuff, right? Make sure they're creditworthy too. They run a good operation. We're really selective with who we take on board. Not all contractors are built equally.
Yes.
There's always a few bad apples. So we do our best to steer clear of anybody like that.
Cool. Well, you're helping homeowners right across the country get their roofs fixed and whatever else. Okay. Yeah. Well, thank you, Eamonn, for joining us on Biz1on1. Appreciate it.
Pleasure. Thanks, Randy.
Thank you for watching Biz1on1. For more episodes and information on your favourite guests, check out biz1on1.tv.